Howdy guys, Rex here. Today we're going to take a look at some equipment made by Spartan Precision Equipment. They are the makers of the Javelin Bipod, which was kind of created by professional hunters who are tired of carrying around weighty bipods that are kind of more permanently attached to the rifle. Came up with the concept of fitting a bipod to the rifle only when needed. These things are pretty lightweight. They're lighter than your iPhone, and they're very easy to detach, and you can stick it in your pocket. The Javelin bipod can be canted and used to follow live game pretty easily, and it's a pretty slick design, so let's take a closer look at this here. So this is really constructed for serious hunters in mind. If you remember my review on the Neopod, that was a very incredibly lightweight bipod that was ridiculously lightweight. So the Javelin is a little bit heavier than the Neopod we reviewed, but it is considerably more rigid. So for those shooters who want to err on the side of more stiffness, rigidness, something a little bit stronger, the Javelin is going to give you a lot more solid feel than the Neopod. The Neopod was very lightweight. But the Javelin is still relatively light, lighter than your phone. The Javelin is actually made from light and ultra-strong carbon fiber, and it's reinforced with 70-75 aerospace aluminum. So it weighs quite a bit lighter than some of your other conventional design bipods, but this thing is still incredibly tough, and of course is pretty much impervious to any of your weather or extreme conditions. And with the simplicity of the design, you don't really have to worry about getting it covered in mud or sand or anything else. It's not going to jam up the works too bad. It's going to not be very difficult to clean either. When we take a closer look at the design, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. One of the interesting features of the Javelin bipod is it uses rare earth magnets to connect the bipod to the rifle, so you can snap that thing on and off in a second. Very quick and easy to do. You don't use any springs, so that's going to cut down on your noise factor. If you're concerned with tipping off game to your position during a hunt or something, the magnetic design and attachment is kind of advantageous for that. And with the diversity of different mounts available for your rifles, you can use this bipod on all your different rifles. Simply hook up these different mounts to your stock, and you have the magnetic adapter, and you can just snap it on and off to your different rifles in just seconds. Pretty quick and easy to use. When we're talking about these magnets, these things are attached pretty darn well. Once you get it snapped in, it does take considerable effort to unsnap it, to pull it off. They're pretty powerful little magnets. Some of the things I did like about the bipod was it had a pretty decent wide stance, so you get a good stability factor on it. It's a wide enough stance to where you can actually, if you want to use it or employ it as a monopod, especially if you use the leg extensions, you can just close the legs together, grab them with your fist, and then you tilt it over, and you can still get perpendicular with the rifle when it's canted all the way to one side. Another nice thing about the ease of detachability is that you can have this bipod stored away in your pocket. You just throw it in your pants pocket or in your jacket pocket, and it's not going to be in the way. Some hunters who are especially going through brush, stalking through the woods, or just carrying the rifle a lot, they don't really like having the cumbersome bipod kind of attached to the rifle. And a lot of hunters want to have the option to really just employ this thing when it's actually needed, rather than to have it there all the time snagging up on brush and things like that. So if you do find yourself in a position where you got some game that you need to get a pretty steady artificial support on the front, you can quickly deploy this thing. You don't have to fumble around, and with the adrenaline that happens in the stalk of game, you don't have to possess any fine motor skills to get this in there properly. You just simply insert it and it snaps in. Very simple. The bipod is equipped with some rubber feet that are pretty nice and soft, in case you're shooting across the surface so you don't want to get marred up too bad. And if you're shooting on harder surfaces like granite, sometimes you get rock that can be a little bit difficult to get a solid purchase on with the feet of your bipod. These have a tungsten tipped legs. They're little grabbers on the ends of the legs. And so if you're on ice or if you're on rock, these things will dig right in. We tried it when we were reviewing it on granite, and it bites in real solid. Especially if you're doing alpine hunting up in the mountains, you can bury these things into solid ice, and you'll get a real solid purchase. Going to save you a lot of cussing when you're out there in the field. The bipod I took a look at was the shorter version, giving you a ground to stock height of 17 to 24 centimeters. That's like 6.5 to 9.5 inches. And it's only 8 inches long when you put it in your pocket. Now, when you buy one of these things, the Javelin does come included with a free flat adapter, so you can mount that onto your rifle. You just replace a sling swivel stud, or you can drill a hole, and they have a couple different adapters. They have some different size machine screws that you would put into where your stud was, or you can screw it into the wood. And also, the one we tried was the Picatinny adapter for a rail mount, and we ran this on a AR-15 platform. Take a closer look at the magnets here. Not only is this thing magnetically attached to the bipod adapter onto the rifle, and these N52 magnets are also used to either keep the legs spread apart in their wide stance, or if you put it back together to keep it from spreading out. So there's no use of springs or anything in this bipod design. Very simple design, but pretty high tech. You got the neodymium magnets being used there. It's a pretty unique design that I actually haven't seen before, but it did seem to work pretty good. Of course, all the materials used on this are very light and corrosion resistant. There is some stainless steel used on this. It's S316 marine grade austenitic stainless steel, which means that it has a very high resistance to corrosion. The aluminum used on this is actually very heavy duty. It's AL7075 T7351. That's that aerospace quality stuff that they use on airplanes and stuff. And it's actually one of the highest strength aluminum alloys available. I think it's like 45% higher yield strength than austenitic stainless steels, actually. So it's a pretty tough material. Of course, the legs on this bipod are made from carbon fiber, which is incredibly lightweight. And I mean, it's a very lightweight bipod, but it also is incredibly stiff. As you can see in the review we did earlier on the Neopod, it was a strong design, but it was quite flexible as a very, very thin design. This is considerably more stout, if that's a consideration. And if I'm not mistaken, I do believe that this Javelin is a little bit more affordable. This thing is actually made in Great Britain. Those of you familiar with products made in that country, you can think of Rolls-Royce, the Harrier jet, and of course, Rangemaster Precision Arms and Accuracy International, some of the real respected companies. They pay a lot of attention to quality control. They have a lot of pride in craftsmanship. So if you're looking for something that's very refined and pretty quick and easy to deploy, this is something worth taking a look at. In my opinion, it seems every bit as stout as some of the other competitively priced, more popular aluminum designs that a lot of guys run on their big precision rifles, like the Atlas. But this thing is considerably lighter. So that's going to be nice for those guys who are using a rifle and going to be going up and down mountains. So let's take a look at the field review and just get the authentic commentary we had when we were first playing with this thing. And I hope you guys enjoy the review. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll catch you on the flip side. Okay, so we got this lightweight bipod. The idea is you carry it in your pocket. We got little magnets inside here. You kind of hold it together and then hold it apart. So it's a magnet bipod situation. And then we got a magnet here, and it just, you got the little adapter in here. You see this? This one's for a rail. They make some that screw into your stock. They got little adapters. Okay, so you just grab it and then you like put it in the hole like this, and then the magnet's in there. It's actually in there pretty good. It feels like it's in. We pull on it hard enough, and she disconnects. And you have a certain range of motion like this. We got rubber feet, and if you look closely, we have little steel feet. Sharp little guys. Sometimes if you're up in the Rocky Mountains or something and you got granite like these glacial erratics here that we see, the rubber is kind of slimy and it's going to kind of squish all over. You ain't going to be able to get a decent first shot off, right? So if you're hunting goats with your bolt action or whatever, that's going to piss you off. So you get the little grabbers. And this will work for brick walls, urban stuff, you know, whatever. Something, a harder surface that you need to bite into. You can see these little carbide, I believe they're a carbide grabber. Little feet on them, and it'll kind of, she's dug into that rock. She's like pretty solid actually. And this bipod is actually pretty stiff. Some of the other ones are a little more flexy. If you're talking about that Neopod is lighter, but it's not near as stiff as this. So this gives you a pretty good purchase on your surface. And if you need to reposition it, it grabs. You can see it's scratching the rock right off of here. So it's got a pretty good purchase. If you get a hand on there or something, you'll be able to get a decent support in the front. So
That's the idea between the foot design on this particular little bipod. And then when you're done with it, you want to get, a lot of guys don't like it hanging on there, getting in the way, you just pull it off. And it's super lightweight, you just throw it in your pocket. They make a pouch for it too. And if you want to adjust this a little bit longer, this version, you just simply twist a little bit, pull out, and then you twist to tighten it up. Kind of a frictional resistance tightening mechanism. And it actually is pretty solid little design there. There we go. And I mean, if you try breaking it, you probably could, but it's for all practical purposes, it's going to be pretty good. So, yeah, a little bit of adjustment. And if you do need longer legs, I'll show you those. You can't really grab nothing, see? You need longer legs. Well, in that situation, you get the leg extensions, okay? Now, it's a little more tedious here. You got to unscrew. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see that there? We just kind of unscrew this to where it's loose, and they come up, okay? Now this isn't something you're gonna do real quick, but if you plan on taking a shot from a certain area, you're probably gonna have a decent amount of time to get comfortable if you're gonna make a long shot that requires deployment of the longer legs. So it's nice to have these extensions, and you just kind of put it in and turn it, and then it's tight, see? And it's a frictional resistance grabbing deal. And it's all very lightweight. So now, put the magnet in, and all I have to do is I can kind of see over the top of all this junk in front of me, and I can pick a spot between this debris, and I can see out in my field here. But now I can shoot from a sitting position, which is, in certain situations, you got in a forest with lots of logs or junk laying around, you can't really lay down prone on all this crap and see over the top of all these obstructions. So the longer legs like this are nice, but if you have a regular bipod, you can't shorten it short enough to lay prone properly, you know what I'm saying? So it's nice to have separate legs that you can just throw on in a hurry. So it's kind of a handy deal. So let's say you're one of these guys that says, hey, I don't like bipods, I like monopods, and you want a little more height. Well, check this out. See the swiveling action? You can actually swivel it to where it's perpendicular with this leg here, see? So you just pinch it together and then grab it like so, and you get a monopod. And it's a decent length monopod actually, so you can, it's not going to be as stable obviously as a bipod, but you get a little more height. So say you're too short like this, okay, just grab it up and you got yourself a pretty darn stiff monopod. Or you can spread eagle just a little bit for a little more stability. Anywhere in between there, see? It's pretty easy to adjust your height on the fly. It's a pretty cool little design. And when you're done, like we say, just pull it off and it's totally off the rifle. You ain't got to hit no buttons. Like in the winter, you're wearing mittens or something. Your fingers are frozen. You can't unscrew the deal. You can't pinch the deal. You got to screw with it because you want to move real quick to get a new position, or you want to get this off of here. You just pull it off. It's just magnetic. So, and the mechanisms all seem like they're pretty well made, pretty tight. Yeah, pretty groovy, man.
But she hits me, disassembles my leg. So I went to the doctor and he gave me a leg. Now she waits, slumber, just a dreaming, playing. Hope that she kills instead of leaving with me. No, she's a minefield. She'll pot your body from your soul. Minefield, leave a big smoking hole. Minefield, please don't beat off my leg. Minefield. that little round thing over there. Get away!